After setting the fastest time in the pre-qualifying practice, all eyes would be on Jeffrey Hurlings for the qualifying race here at La Salle in Qatar for the opening Grand Prix of the season. The historic venue that sees the riders riding under floodlight for the first time in an FIM World Championship event. Good times also for Glenn Coldenhoff, Romain Febvre, Alessandro Lupino and Jordi Tixier, with Max Anstey lining up in sixth. But no doubt about it, the talk would be all about Jeffrey Hurlings, the number 84 defending FIM MX2 Motocross World Champion. And as the 15-second board turned to 5, the gate dropped, and it was Hurlings over on the far side that made a good start, came across everybody as he went into turn 1, but then drama, because he ran wide coming out of turn 1, and he went down going into turn 2, and he had to fight his way through from the back of the field, leaving the way clear for the 737 of Valentin Tellier on the Rockstar Bud Racing Kawasaki. Behind him, Glenn Coldenhoff and Romain Febvre, as well as the Spanish rider Jose Butron, were battling for second position on this floodlit circuit. Romain Febvre, though, on the Wilvo Nastan JM Racing KTM number 461, found himself going wheel to wheel with this guy here, number 17, Jose Butron, the Spaniard, giving as good as he would take. And he made the French former European champion work very, very hard for a potential second position. Another rider that was having a good ride was the number 259, Glenn Coldenhoff, but at the back, somebody just losing a little bit of traction, Monticelli, the TM rider. Febvre eventually found a way through. Butron tried to fight back though. The two riders collided going over the finish line jump, but Romain Febvre managed to get himself into second and then started to close down on our race leader, Valentin Tellier. Jeffrey Hurlings, meanwhile, who came round on the first lap in 16th, having passed a handful of riders, started to make inroads into the riders ahead of him. Didn't take him long to catch up to the Monster Energy Yamaha of the number 23, the Frenchman Christophe Charlier, but even though he caught him, found himself sat behind the Frenchman, former European MX2 champion, for about 3 or 4 laps. And that seemed to halt the progress of the defending world champion. However, once he got onto the rear wheel of the Monster Energy Yamaha, Jeffrey Hurlings eventually then found a way through, but all the while Valentin Tellier was pulling away at the head of the field. But this was an interesting battle here between the two guys that actually finished second in that European Championship back in 2009, Christophe Charlier and Jeffrey Hurlings. Romain Febvre, though, started to close in on the 737 Rockstar Bud Racing Kawasaki rider Valentin Tellier. This was the battle for the lead between the two young French starlets. Valentin Tellier, though, rode a determined race, didn't put himself under pressure, and did everything right to keep his Kawasaki just ahead of Romain Febvre. But drama for Romain Febvre, because he went missing around about the halfway point of the race. A problem with the bike, we presume, meant that he pulled out whilst in a strong second position, challenging Valentin Tellier for that lead. Jose Butron found himself then in third position. Max Anstey, the Rockstar Bud Racing Suzuki rider, found himself in this battle as well there on that yellow machine, just behind the 259 of Glenn Coldenhoff on the standing construct KTM. But Max Anstey, fresh from the US, touchdown, landed in England, stayed there for one night, jumped on a plane to come here to Qatar, struggling with the effects of jet lag in this qualifying heat race. And eventually he would settle for fourth position, just behind Jose Butron. But Coldenhoff, though, looking smooth on the standing construct KTM. Found himself with about 4 laps to go, right on the rear wheel of Jose Butron. Jordi Tixier eventually came home in 5th position on the Red Bull Factory KTM, but he would lose the front mudguard on the MX2 250 machine. But he would have to settle for 5th position. But Butron here, number 17, the Spaniard, on the Silver Action KTM, coming under a lot of pressure in the closing stages from 259. Glenn Coldenhoff, a new number for him this year. Max Anstey keeping a watching brief over both guys, and Jordi Tixier was starting to close in the Final few laps of this qualifying race. Boutron, though, eventually succumbed to the pressure to Glenn Coldenhoff, who then went through into second position. Max Anstey, though, there on that yellow Suzuki, found himself trying to find a way past Boutron with 2 laps to go, but unfortunately for Max Anstey, that was not going to happen. Jeffrey Hurlings, meanwhile, found himself climbing up into 8th place, taking 3 or 4 guys in the last 3 or 4 laps, actually, going from 11th to 8th. But the win eventually went to the 737 Valentin Tellier on the Bud Rockstar Racing Kawasaki. Second was Glenn Coldenhoff on the Standing Construct KTM. Third, Jose Boutron Silver Action KTM, with Max Anstey Rockstar Energy Suzuki in 4th. Jordi Tixier's Red Bull KTM 5th. Monster Energy's Yamaha Dean Ferris was 6th, with Jake Nichols, Hurlings, Lieber and Lupino rounding out the top 10.